Welcome to this edition of Morgan You Asked For podcast. Trev and I are back together after a few week break here. It is the summertime, it's vacation time, little miscommunication, little technical difficulty, and then a guest host last week. Speaking of RJ, um, wishing him well. He was in the hospital for a few days here this week, and he is out doing better now, but glad he's doing better. And again, thanks for joining us last week, RJ, and look forward to doing it in the future. Trev, I don't know if you heard any of that. We promoted a lot of high school golf here in Iowa, and he's a great storyteller, and you kind of get around him, and he can talk for hours.
Yeah, wishing him the best. That was a good podcast. I mean, talking about how they won the state championship, that's like something you'd see in a movie. So that was a good one. We definitely need to have him on more, especially for golf topics.
Yeah, he's good, and I know he was in the hospital here for a few days, but he is back home, and I think he was at a meeting with Zach today. He zoomed in or Google Meet, whichever platform you want to use. So he wasn't able to get there, but he was able to help get that going, and he's always doing everything he can to promote high school golf here in Iowa. Trev, what have you been up to the last couple of weeks? Looks like you are at home tonight. What's been going with you?
I'm at home most of this month. I've been on the road over 100 nights for work so far this year. So I'm spending most of July at home, seeing customers here. Next month, we're going to go to Omaha for a quick little vacation with the family. We're keeping it pretty simple this year because my nephew is going into the Marines.
Okay.
And he'll be doing that soon. And then his graduation will be in October. So everybody's kind of saving their vacation and their money to go to San Diego for graduation. So the Omaha is nothing too exciting, but it's going to be a short 2-day little weekend there with the family. But other than that, just been on the road a lot for work.
No, that's good. San Diego, never been there. Not a huge person that wants to get to California a lot, but I do think San Diego would be a good time, and hopefully you can enjoy that time there and obviously celebrate him, graduating his basic or whatever training he's doing. Thank him for doing that. We need more people to do that in this world. It is a crazy time right now. You never know.
Yeah, it's I don't know everything that he's going to have to go through. I just assume a lot of running, and a lot of stuff that I wouldn't want to do. So best of luck to him. And we're looking forward to getting out to San Diego. Is awesome. It's one of my favorite places to go. The weather's perfect there. And I saw you take a little bit of vacation time or go on a trip to Wisconsin.
Yeah, we went up to Milwaukee real quick. We went and watched the Brewers and the Dodgers. Tyler, favorite player is Ohtani. We went and watched him several years ago when he was with the Angels down in Kansas City. And then this year we saw he was in Milwaukee. Hadn't been there. So we got tickets, Laura and I, and then Mason and Tyler. The four of us went up for just a quick. We went up Sunday. Game was Monday night, and then came home real early on Tuesday. Tyler had golf at 1 o'clock, and Connor had a baseball game. So just lots of stuff going on. But real quick trip up to Milwaukee. It was nice. I'd never really spent much time in Milwaukee, but I was there for the NCAA tournament. So it was nice, at least knowing the area and knowing a few things to do and everything.
Yeah, getting to see the Dodgers would be pretty cool. And I was in California a few weeks ago. Was there all week, and every place I went in always had the Dodger game on. And the people were always watching. I kind of was looking around to see if people were actually watching the game or are they on their phones. And the Dodgers are the hottest thing out west right now.
Yeah, they're good. They got beat. The Brewers are playing really good. The Brewers beat them again last night. I don't know what's going on tonight. If it's probably over now, probably started around 7. I just haven't looked to see what happened tonight. But the Brewers are playing real well right now. Freddie Peralta pitched a gem against the Dodgers, did lose that game. But Ohtani got 2 hits. I think it was 2 for 4. It was the next night he led off the game with a home run. So that's kind of wish you'd have been there for that one. But that is part of it. Baseball, you get one game, you get a couple little dink hits, and then the next one you get a home run, or one game you go 0 for 4, and the next game you go 3 for 4, and that's just baseball. But it is, watching. I watch a lot of baseball, watch a lot of little kid baseball. Just with Tyler being 12, and just in junior high and high school, and then just umpiring and stuff over the years. And it's just amazing, the arms and just what these guys can do with a baseball. Watching them warm up. The Dodgers pitcher, now he didn't get out of the first inning, so it didn't really work. He was throwing it from right center field all the way past the fair foul line, down the left field line with ease. I mean, just on a rope. The catcher / person he's playing catch with barely had to move ever. I mean, just a little bit, glove here or there. I think there was one ball he kind of had to reach for. Just absolute amazing what they can do. Again, that's why they get paid lots of money, and they're the best in the world. And then the Dodgers are the best team with the players that they have. I mean, they're not playing the best right now, and who knows if they're going to win it all. But they're fun to watch. We were able to watch a little bit of batting practice, and that was almost more fun for me than the game. Just getting different things, different ideas to try to help Tyler a little bit, and also, I mean, this is what I like to do too. Is when situations arise, and hey, Tyler, he plays shortstop and he plays second base mainly. Watch those guys this inning. Watch them back up every throw. Watch, that's these guys are the best in the world. And they still do the little things.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. You got to go up and see the Dodgers. Like you said, the Brewers are playing better right now, so I'm sure that was fun. And just as long as it's anybody but the Yankees winning, I'm okay with that.
Absolutely, I absolutely despise the Yankees.
Yeah, see I think the Cubs got a better record than the Yankees right now, don't they? I was giving the guys hard time a couple weeks ago.
Might be. I don't know. I haven't. The Twins are really bad. Even though they beat the Cubs last night, they were ahead of the Cubs earlier today. Again, I don't know how it finished. But yeah, it's just baseball's a funny game. But anytime the Yankees, they're still going to make the playoffs. They're still going to have a say in it, I'm sure. But anytime the Yankees don't win it, I'm always happy at the end of the season.
Yankees and Cowboys. Either you're a fan or you're happy to see them lose.
So we talked a little bit about the Cowboys last time because RJ is a Cowboys fan, and I said, well, you probably don't like Trevor and I because we bash the Cowboys any chance we get.
Yeah, I was thinking about the Cowboys. I don't know what to make of them. That's RJ's, to be a Cowboy fan. It's been a struggle the last 25 years or so since their last Super Bowl. But they got a new coach. They got a questionable running game. Dak's coming off another injury, so I'm staying away from the Cowboys as far as like over under bets go before the season. Right. I don't know what to make of the Cowboys. Dak he's made his career on beating up on the Giants and Washington a lot. Well, now Washington's a lot better. Of course, the Eagles are the defending champs, and we'll see what happens with the Giants. If they can get average quarterback play from whoever starts for them, I think the Giants might be a pretty tough out this year. So I'm staying away from the Cowboys.
Yeah, I am as well. Before we move on to our main topics here, NFL, any storylines, any headlines, we're getting closer, and we're going to talk about that coming up here. But football's getting closer. Anything we need to know, anything you're eyeing right now? I know in college football, some over-under win totals have moved a little bit, up or down a game or two, half a game. Has there been any movement in NFL in the last week or so?
I haven't been really paying attention to most of the over-unders, but you can probably know where I'm going with this right now. And I was going to ask you before we got started, 22 days from now, do you know what we have on TV?
The Hall of Fame game, I would guess.
That's right, July 31st or whatever it is. So this month, there's going to be an NFL game on the TV. And, of course, the game will probably be a terrible watch, but I'll be interested in the first couple series for each team, and then it'll probably be background noise. But it'll still be nice to have football on the TV, though.
Yeah, it's and we can kind of transition into this, but the Big 12 Media Days were yesterday and today, and Iowa State plays in like 50 days, like, a month and a half, and they're playing a football game, one that really matters. It really matters in the Big 12, and then it really matters if Iowa State or Kansas State, obviously I want Iowa State, but to show up and a chance to put themselves with a really good win. And, I'm going to assume they're going to be ranked about number 20 in the country preseason. You're coming off an 11 win season. Return your quarterback, return your coach, return your coordinators. That's a heck of a start. So they're going to be ranked, and Kansas State probably ranked right around the same. So you're going to have a ranked win right out the gate if you can get that win, propelling yourself to a higher ranking and a chance to make the. You just want to keep your name in the race for the playoff as long as you can.
Yeah, expectations will be high for Iowa State. And do you know, two questions, do you know what time that game's going to start? And do you know if game day is going over for it?
It's 11 a.m., and I believe game day is there, but Lee Corso is not going. He's only doing that the next week, I think, or maybe 2 weeks.
That Ohio State, Texas.
Yeah, whatever it is, the game he's doing, I think, is the only. No, he's going. His last one's going to be at Florida State because that's where he played.
Okay, yeah.
So I think it might even be week 3 or week 2 because Iowa State actually is week 0, which is confusing and weird. But I don't know if he's doing any games except for that last one. But I know he's not going to Ireland. But McAfee and the rest of them will be there for game day. Is I'm 99% sure I heard that.
Yeah, I'm ready for game day to be back on the television Saturday mornings. It's been pretty hot here this week here in Colorado, so I am kind of looking forward to a little bit cooler weather and college football back on TV.
Yeah, it was warm here too, and it is amazing just going to Milwaukee along the lake, and then obviously just far enough north. It's just a little bit cooler, and it felt really good because it's been really warm here in Iowa the last week or so as well.
Yeah, I think it's finally gonna cool off here in a couple days, so I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, no, Iowa State. That first game will be interesting. Like you said, it's a big one, and it's not far away right now.
Yeah, let's talk media days real quick. Nothing too big. It's always good to get coaches around. The one thing that Campbell said, there's some question. I don't know if you heard this. There's some questions on whether the exact quote or not, but Campbell talked about his top 20 players taking a pay cut to stay with the Cyclones. Now, I think what he meant was they were offered more money other places and they stayed. Not that they're getting, not that they were getting $250,000 from Iowa State last year and now they're getting $200,000. They didn't take a pay cut from Iowa State, but they're taking less money to play at Iowa State versus transferring and going somewhere else, is what I think he meant to say or how he intended that comment to be made.
I saw the headline, and that's kind of what I assumed. That's the way he meant to put it. Not that they're actually taking a pay cut, but they could have got more money to go somewhere else. So, yeah, have they figured out any more on NIL, the bargaining agreements? Has there been any movement on that, or some guidelines put into place for the upcoming season for transferring and all this?
Starting July 1st, they're getting paid from the university. So that is, and teams are supposed to stick to that $20.5 million salary cap. Now, a lot of players before July 1st got a lot of money. Just because before July 1st, it wasn't part of that deal. So their salary cap, starting now until next July 1 is 20.5. There's going to be loopholes. There's going to be teams that just say heck with it. And we're going to see the teeth anybody has to do anything about it.
Yeah, it's tough on the coaches. That's for sure. All these players transferring, all the different money. We've talked about it. All these different colleges are hiring former NFL guys to come in and be their GMs to help manage their money and figure out who's worth what a quarterback's going for, what a guard's going for, a safety. Yep. It's the Wild West right now, and eventually it'll get straightened out because it'll have to. But it's still pretty crazy though.
Yeah, their teams are going to have to. They are doing just like the NFL. They know you got that salary cap. Let's just say it's, $15 million for football, 60% quarterback, 40% offensive line. Whatever that number is, it's going to be very much like the NFL. And that's why the NFL guys are coming back, or the college guys are going to the NFL guys and, hey, how do you allocate your money? And then just dumb it down. Instead of $275 million or whatever the salary cap is in the NFL, now it's $15 million or whatever it is. And I'm sure basketball is the same way. You got your 2-3 core guys get 90% of the money, and then you got to figure out how to get the rest of your team for the last 10%. And same thing with football. Who gets paid the most? The quarterback, the offensive, the left tackle, and then the rushers. Those are your 3 big time money guys. And then everybody else, you just got to make it work.
Yeah, we know the quarterbacks are making a ton of money, and it'll be interesting to see if they have to come to some sort of agreement years down the line that a quarterback can only make so much percentage of the money, because the quarterbacks are eating up a lot of it right now compared to other positions. And I'm sure at some point players at other positions are going to start to complain and want to try to get that changed to make it a little bit more even though we know the quarterback should get paid the most.
Yeah, I don't think there's an argument on whether they should get the most. It's just percentage of the cap. It's just like, when Sam Bradford out of Oklahoma, before he played a snap in the NFL, was the highest paid player ever in the NFL per year. That only lasted about 3-4 years. And then they went back to the bargaining table and said, no more of that. Now, the second contract, you get what you, just like Purdy got, get what you can get. But that first contract, it's just slotted. It's not even a negotiation. It's, you're the first pick in the draft, you get this. You're the 105th pick in the draft, you get this. You're 299th like Purdy, you get this. It truly is just slotted. And that's where this essentially is going to come to, is they're going to have to become employees, and they're going to have to collective bargain to get all of this stuff figured out. Pay for their health care forever, or pay for the health care for 10 years. I would like to see them, because they are still young adults that don't make the best decision. 10% of your salary or what you're getting NIL goes into an index fund or a savings account. Just not even an option. But that's going to have to be collective bargained, just to help these guys out. And, you have to take, so many financial classes, and just a lot of, essentially you need to make it like the NFL. And that's sad for me to say, but it is professional sports now. Let's not say it isn't. So let's just treat it like it.
Yeah, having some things set up for these players to put money away would be smart. I don't know what I would have done with $1 million or $2 million at 18, 19, 20 years old. I don't know what I'd do if somebody handed me $2 million right now, to be honest.
It'd be Dominic Orange from Iowa State. Somebody asked him about, not leaving and taking more money or going to the NFL. And he goes, what does a 21-year-old need $5 million for? I wouldn't even know what to do with it. He goes, I'm getting paid plenty. It's not like I don't have any money. And he talked about how much he's grown up as a person and just as a player, and how Iowa State has helped him with that, instead of jumping for the money every time and everybody just using him for his skills. And that's a really good thing for Iowa State. And that's what you want to say out. Hey, we're not just making you a better football player and trying to win at all costs, which they are doing. That is their number one goal. It's make you the best football player they can, so they can win more football games, so it's better for them. That is still the case. It is a two-way street. The player is using the university and the coach and the team to try to better themselves, and then obviously the coach and the team and the university are using the players to try to better their university and football program. Everybody's using everybody, and that's okay. But it was good to see that, he goes, I have friends that have went to the NFL and they don't have $5 million in the bank. And Just you don't need it, and you don't. But you also can't blame anybody because if you get $5 million when you're 21 years old and you do things the right way, you don't ever have to worry about the little things ever again. Um, you can't live forever lavishly, but you could live like you and me really well, and it would be really good, and you would never have to worry about the little things ever again.
George Kittle was talking about the rookies coming in, and they made the rookies get up and speak, and they asked him, "Okay, how much did you make in college and
Yep.
NIL, and then what was your signing bonus in the NFL?"
Well, it's less.
And yeah, he said he's like a lot of these guys maybe should have went back for another year if they could have. And that's one of the positives though of this in college basketball. You and I have talked about
Right.
this before. We're going to see more guys go back for another year or 2 more years rather than going pro and going into the G League. So I think it is going to help out men's college basketball because that is the one thing that the women have going right now in college is these players play for 3 or 4 years. We get to know them a little bit. College basketball lately, the last 10 years or whatever it's been, it's tough to keep track of anyone unless you're a diehard fan.
Well, and I mean, the problem is they don't stay very long in the NBA or in college basketball, but then they never stay at a university. That's the other problem in basketball. I mean, they transfer every year. Um, have you seen? I thought this was a great job by um, the big guy out of Kansas that was at Michigan, got paid millions of dollars, wasn't actually that good, didn't even get drafted, and he's like on a LinkedIn commercial, millions of dollars in the bank, but now he's looking for a job because I don't even know if he got picked up in the summer league. I thought it was ingenious by LinkedIn, ingenious by him, just making a little extra money and being using his NIL, but also being honest that he's made a lot of money, but now, just like most players, they're looking for a job. That is still the reality. You see those commercials during the NCAA tournament and all the other NCAA tournaments that most of the players are going pro in something other than sports. That's actually true. Yes, the ones we're watching on the NCAA final and the NCAA football tournament now, those are the guys that are going pro. But you still have to think there's still 110 guys on those teams, or 120 guys, and even on Ohio State, even on Alabama, still only 25, 30, maybe 40 of those guys are going to make a career in the NFL. Now, probably more like 75 or 80 will get a shot, like camp, or maybe 1 year in the NFL or something like that. But still, I would say 20 or 30 of those guys are actually going to make careers in the NFL. And those are the best universities, best teams, best players in the country.
Yeah, most of the guys that we watch, football, basketball, doesn't matter. Most of them aren't going pro. And a lot of them that do go pro, like you said, 1 or 2 years if they're lucky. It's a very small percentage that sticks around for a long time. So, yeah, a lot of kids are making money right now, which I like. But as you said, put in some things to help them so they don't lose it all. And there's going to be some examples of guys doing some dumb stuff. There's going to be the other side of players that are smart with it. But it wouldn't hurt to try to help these guys out. And like I said, put some guardrails in place.
Yeah, I mean, if let's just say you averaged $1 million a year, you played for 5 years, so you got $5 million in the bank. You had to pay taxes, so there's 20. Let's just say 25%, just to make it easy. So there's, let's just say it's 4 years. So you have $3 million in the bank, and let's say you spent 500,000, so you're at 2,500,000, and now you're trying to find a job for 50 or $100,000 to start off. But you have that in the bank. You're able to buy a house, buy a car, not $100,000 car, but just go buy yourself a $30,000 to $50,000 car like everybody else. Live normal, and you're going to have money in the bank for the rest of your life, and never have to worry about little things. You can go on a nice vacation every year. You can send your kids to private school if you want to. You can, give to organizations. You don't have to have a 100-hour a week job. You can decide, hey, I'm only going to work, a job that's 40 hours a week, and instead of grinding out, if you don't want to make 250,000 a year, you can stay at a job for 100,000 because you have that nest egg, and you can so you can pick your kids up from school, you can just do things. You've earned yourself time. That's what money gives you. It gives you freedom and time. I've read a lot of things here lately that if you're able to drop your kid off at school and pick your kid up from school, you've won in life. Without taking time off of work. If your job allows you to do that, a lot of times you own a business or you've made it so you're flexible enough to do that, where it's not like you have no option to do that. And those are always good things and good times. And everybody has times that you're not able to, but on a day-to-day basis, if you're able to see your kid play a baseball game, get your kid, to school or from school, however it is, you're doing well in life.
You're ahead of basically just about everybody else
Yep.
your age, and people that are 20 or 30 years older you're ahead of if you got that much money in the bank. So it gives you a lot more freedoms, like you said.
Anything? Did they talk too much out there in Colorado about Colorado and Dion's health, and then just how different it's going to be with him coaching, not Travis Hunter, and then not his sons?
There hasn't been a ton of talk, at least from the shows and people I've been talking to and listening to. But I think it's going to be an interesting year and an interesting couple of years, because if he can win without Shador and Travis, I think that's going to go a long ways to winning over more fans and maybe getting more people here in Colorado or out west to pay attention or to give them the time of day.
Yeah, if he can win, or like you said, over the next couple of years, he's going to set himself up for another job if he wants. And then I think it would prove to some NFL teams, if that's what he wants to do, that he actually is coaching. It's not just his kid and Travis Hunter, and able to get the best players, which that's a lot of it. You still have to have Jimmys and Joes. It's not all X's and O's. But he is putting together a decent staff of people that know football. Now, it's kind of a celebrity one, but they're some of the best at their position of all time.
Yeah, he's I don't know if he wants to go to the NFL. He says he doesn't, but college is kind of like the NFL, like we just been talking about the past 15 minutes, because the players are getting paid. So it's sort of like the NFL. I don't know if he would. I mean, he probably wants to get back to Florida State, if that would ever be a possibility. But he's pretty adamant that he won't go to the NFL. But, what if the Dallas Cowboys job opens up in 2 or 3 years if Schottenheimer gets fired?
Yeah, I'm surprised he wasn't, and he might have been in on that more than we think. But I cannot believe that maybe he turned it down. They had to have a conversation, don't you think?
I would think so. I mean, Jerry Jones loves him, so I'm sure he at least reached out. Maybe Dion was interested, maybe he wasn't. But if Schottenheimer does get fired in a few years, which I think is pretty likely, Dion's name is going to be thrown around as much as anybody's.
Yeah, I agree. All right, let's transition to your topics here. I think your first one was a year out from the World Cup coming to the United States, and I actually saw, you sent me that list today, and I actually saw today that Kansas City Arrowhead is doing some work on their field and stadium to make it ready. I think I'm going to try to get to a game down there with Tyler. He likes soccer. I'm not a soccer guy. I don't know everything about it, but it's I don't know if it's a once in a lifetime thing, but it doesn't happen super often. It's some of the best teams in the world. So I'm going to try to get down to Kansas City or somewhere to see them next summer. That's where I'm going to go spend a few days watching a game or somewhere, but probably Kansas City. But if I have to go somewhere else or choose to go somewhere else, I probably will.
Yeah, absolutely. You should get down there for it. Kansas City is going to be the closest for Iowa, and then Dallas will be the next closest location. And then it's a lot of New York, Miami, LA, for places that are further away. But some people I listen to, and again, I'm not a big soccer guy, but if you put the USA, the Olympics, or something like this versus
Mhm.
other countries, we're all going to watch and we're going to be
Yep.
invested. And there's some people predicting that it'll be the most viewed sporting event in history. They think it's going to outview many Olympics and maybe all of them. So it's going to be a massive event when it comes here to America. There's going to be games in Mexico and Canada as well, but a
Yep.
lot of them are going to be here in the States, and it's going to be a massive party, I would assume. And I don't know. I mean, I don't know how much the tickets are going to be, but I imagine they're going to be pretty pricey.
I'm going to guess it's not going to be cheap. And it's one of those, the reason it's going to be the most watched thing is you're going to get the rest of the world to watch it like they always do because they're crazy. But you're going to get the casual, you and me, fans to watch it because it's in the U.S. and because U.S. is actually going to play in it. How long they last is a whole different thing, but they're at least going to start in it. And then even, you know, if I go watch, let's just say it's France and Germany playing in the game in Kansas City that I go watch, and Germany keeps winning and goes on and wins the whole. I'm probably going to watch Germany the rest of the way, just because I watched them, more than I ever would if it was happening in Germany. I mean, some
Yeah.
of the reason is time.
Mhm.
Time change. You're going to be able to watch them live during normal viewing hours, which does matter. Um, and then also just you have some skin in the game with it being in the U.S.
Yeah, I watched some of the Gold Cup. I don't know if you turned into it or not, or if Tyler was watching. But again, I don't know a lot about soccer, but it was fun to watch. They lost
Yep.
the finals match there to Mexico, but from what I've heard, that was basically kind of our B team that
Yep.
was out there playing.
That's
So,
what I heard as well. Probably listen
and
to
I,
the same people.
and I don't know how far we're expected to get a year from now, but I know most people, again, that I listen to, don't really think America has a chance to
Right.
make it to the finals. So, um, but it's going to be a massive party and a big deal, and I'm looking forward to it. Like I said, I'm not even a big soccer fan, but when you put USA versus
Yep.
other countries or like the Olympics, most of us all watch.
Yep. Absolutely. And again, um, I don't know when the last time it was in the U.S. The women have been in the U.S. a few times. We all remember Brandy Chastain in the late '90s, scoring the winning goal and taking her shirt off and sliding along the turf. That's kind of when women's soccer exploded, and the U.S. has been pretty dominant ever since. I don't think they've won every one, but they've won several since. But the men just need to make a good showing. Again, they're not going to win it. I think they need to get out of the group stage and get into the tournament. That's what they need to do.
Yeah, they got to make it out of the group stage, and I could be wrong. I should have looked this up, but I think I've heard that countries that host the World Cup they always make it out of the group stage or
Yeah,
something
I
like
mean,
that.
it's a huge bump. Like whoever the host team is, they always do really well
Mhm.
compared to their average.
So you would hate for America to not at least make it out of the group stage. That would not be good. That would be that'd be a bummer. But yeah, it's going to be
Yeah,
games all over the place. Like I said, it's going to be a massive party. I'll be interested what tickets are like because if it's reasonable and I can afford, I'd love to go. But I have a
right.
feeling it's going to be
Yeah,
pretty
it's going to be
outrageous.
pricey. This is probably what I'm going to do. Obviously, when I get tickets, if it's in Kansas City, we'll chat and we get them all together or whatever. But yeah, um, it's going to be several $100s a ticket. I would expect.
At least. So it's if the tickets are too expensive, I want to get everybody together somewhere though and have big watch
Yeah,
parties. I think it'd be fun.
right.
You're rooting
Yeah,
for the USA. You can't beat that.
yeah. A long time ago, during the World Cup, I was in Aruba. I watched, and that's the Netherlands. The Aruba's a Dutch colony or whatever you want to call it, and they were playing and went to a bar on the beach and watched it and everything. And I watched a 0-0 tie, and it went to penalty kicks. It was just insane. It was good soccer. I believe it was good soccer. I don't know good soccer, but it's just hard to watch 90 minutes of soccer, no scoring, and it went to penalty kicks.
I like that. I like when it's low scoring. It's because every kick you're wondering if it's
Oh,
going to go in
yeah.
or not, and then you get penalty kicks, and the crowds at soccer games like this they're outrageous. You think college football fans are nuts. These fans around the world make college football fans seem pretty timid.
I agree. And more, I just missed out. I wanted to see them score a goal. So I wanted to see the reaction. Either way, I wanted to see the other team score a goal to see how heartbreaking they were, or I wanted to see the Netherlands score to see how jubilant, how crazy they went. I didn't get to see either thing. Now, the penalty kicks, I can't remember. The Netherlands, I'm pretty sure did win that one. I think it was the semis. It went to the finals. But it was one of those short-lived, because obviously they score or didn't score, but then a minute later there's another score or not score. So it was very quick, and it would have been nice to see a goal or two either way.
It's kind of like hockey too. You wait a long time for a goal. Now hockey, I think typically they scored a little bit more, but you're waiting, and then finally when it happens, it's just a ton of excitement. So I'm looking forward to it. Like I said, me and you aren't big soccer guys, but everybody's going to be watching.
All right, and then the other thing, kind of our next topic, Caitlin Clark returned this morning. I did actually remember I turned it on about noon or so and watched. It wasn't good. And the question is Stephanie White making that team worse, or is it what is wrong with the team, and what is wrong with Caitlin Clark? I do think she's hurt, so she's not playing as well. But just overall, they're under 500. They're not playing well. What's going on with the fever? Stephanie White's in and out of the lineup, much like Caitlin Clark, so I think that has something to do with it. And just, the DeWanna Bonner thing they're not playing well together. I guess that's probably the easiest thing. And obviously the head coach is to blame for that. That's her job. But unfortunately she's not there every game. So I don't know what's going on.
Well, the biggest thing is that this team right now hasn't played a lot together, fully healthy. Caitlin's missed a handful of games. Sophie Cunningham missed games. DeWanna Bonner wasted everybody's time and then quit on the team. Thanks for that. We're trying to build a contending team here and just completely wasted everybody's time. Dantas went to play in that FIBA basketball cup that had just been going on, so she's been gone. Erin McDonald was on the team, and then they had to cut her. Thankfully got her back. So this team hasn't played together fully healthy or as a full group very much. So my hope is they just need a little bit more time. They've got 5 games before the All-Star break. If they could be at 500, that'll be fine. And then I think 22 games after the All-Star break. So they've got a little bit of time to get it figured out. And we saw last year that they did after the All-Star break in the Olympics. They really turned it on. So a lot of those core players are still on the team. They did it last year. They know how to do it. My hope is they just need more time together, and Caitlin's learning to play off ball, which I would assume, and I know she doesn't like. But I think right now that's kind of the way it's got to be. She's the toughest guarded player in the WNBA, the most flagrantly fouled, all that type of stuff. So I think she does have to learn to play off ball for right now, and it's a work in progress.
Then the other WNBA story right now is NBA WNBA 2K or whatever. Did you see who the face of that is? Who's on the cover of that?
Yeah. I would have put Caitlin Clark on it, but of course I'm not.
I would have as well too. And I know it's not meant for people, but I know a lot of people that collect Caitlin Clark stuff, and they would have bought the game and not opened it probably and just put it on their shelf with their other Caitlin Clark stuff. Now I understand we're a bunch of white people in Iowa, and that's not their target audience, but I do think they, again, just like the Olympics missed out, I think they can't help themselves. They can't just say we're going all in on her. They're worrying about everybody's feelings instead of truly how to make money.
Yeah, and then the Christine Brennan book just came out recently, and there's all sorts of stories coming out. The WNBA is a Mickey Mouse league. We've talked about it before. When you don't have strong leadership at the top, the WNBA and the PGA Tour, both of them have player entitlement problems. You need strong leadership. If I was a commissioner and they threatened to sit out, it'd be a very short conversation. I'd say, okay, let me know when you're ready to start getting paid again. I'd walk out the room. There needs to be strong leadership at the top. And yeah, the Christine Brennan book is starting to go viral. There's all sorts of stories coming out. And I wouldn't be surprised if even more stories come out here eventually. And then, of course, Caitlin trading the coach of the All-Star game, getting
That
her
was
out.
that was funny, and that's
Yeah.
just being petty and good for her.
Yeah, it's about time. She's got to start sticking up for herself during certain situations and fighting back a little bit. So, um, but as a team, though, they've got the talent, I think. But once we get past this All Star break, a few games after that, if they're not really taking the next step, then I'll start to be worried. But like I said, there's been injuries, the DeWanna Bonner nonsense, the FIBA Cup where players are out of there. I just think they need more time together. At least that's my hope, anyway.
Was that the same type of thing that Audie Crooks and Hannah Stolke played in? Was that was she playing for a different country or something?
Maybe I don't know all that stuff that's going on. It's tough to keep track of. I just knew Dantas was out for a couple games or something like that, but I'm not exactly sure if it was the same thing or not.
Nope, sounds good. Let's see. All right, and then your last thing that we haven't really talked about, the Steelers' outlook. Aaron Rodgers is going to lead them to glory.
We'll see. They made a big trade recently.
Yeah.
Obviously, sending Minka Fitzpatrick back to the Dolphins, bringing in Jalen Ramsey and Jonnu Smith. The interesting thing about that trade is the Steelers now have 3 legit tight ends. They've got Freiermuth, who's probably the most well-rounded, a good blocker, picks up the short passes and keeps the chains moving. You've got Darnell Washington, the giant out of Georgia a few years ago. He's a really good blocker, but he kind of hasn't developed as a receiver yet. And then you bring in Jonnu Smith, who's a really good receiver, but not an excellent blocker. So you've kind of got 3 different tight ends. They're probably going to run a lot of 2 and 3 tight end sets. And, the past couple of years, I keep thinking, like a lot of people, Mike Tomlin's eventually going to have a losing season, and he never does. So part of me thinks Aaron Rodgers might have, one last run in him, just like Brett Favre did. This is something we talked about probably 5 years ago, before the media even did. It's eerie how similar their careers have gone. And even though they're 2 different styles of players and people. So part of me wonders if Aaron's going to have one last dance left in him, get him to the playoffs, maybe win a playoff game or something like that. But I don't know if I'm ready to pick him to make the playoffs for sure. I know when we do our prediction, the week of the season starts, the Steelers are going to be one of those teams I'll be on the fence about.
Yeah, it is crazy, and I remember those conversations years ago. Yeah, just nobody really wanted him. They didn't even say his Favre's name right in the draft, and yeah, just become one of the best of all time. And Aaron Rodgers is one of the best of all time as well. And then kind of unceremoniously out from Green Bay, and they both go to the Jets, and now they're going to another team with actual legitimate chance of winning. The Vikings went to the NFC Championship game, and Favre threw that pick, that ill-advised interception there to end it. And
Don't remind me.
what can Aaron Rodgers do in Pittsburgh with probably the best overall franchise in the NFL, in the history of the NFL? They do things a certain way. I did see a kind of a funny thing where Antonio Brown and who's the receiver that they got rid of, they didn't want.
Pickens to Dallas?
Yeah. They're to say, the kind of the joke was, and you guys think we were problems, and they bring in Jalen Ramsey and Aaron Rodgers, so they just refilled them with other issues. But again, if they think they can help you win, teams will still look the other way.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see how they play. And any other NFL news. I did see Tristan Wirfs is going to start the season on the PUP list for the Buccaneers, so he's going to miss the first 4 weeks. I think Tampa's a sneaky team to maybe contend to get to the NFC Championship game this year. That could be potentially a big loss for him. So we'll have to see if that's just a 4-game little skid with him, or if it's going to be long term. But Tampa's probably the most underrated run franchise in the NFL. I think they have the most starters from players that they drafted. So Tampa's kind of a sneaky team. But yeah, I did see Tristan Wirfs is going to miss the first 4 weeks of the season.
What is wrong with him? I don't know.
Something on his knee. I didn't have time to read all the details, but it looked like a knee issue. I thought I read.
Okay. Anything else, Trev? A little bit shorter this week, but it still is the summertime, and there's nothing wrong with that.
No, that's good enough. We said thanks to RJ for being on last week, and hopefully get him on some more. Maybe he could come on for the British Open preview, which I think is next week, maybe, or It's coming
I
up.
believe. Yeah, it's coming up pretty quick. Yeah, nope. Thanks, Trev. And again, thanks. I know just looking around, and I think, with RJ being on, helped us a little bit, gained a few subscribers on different platforms and several more people listening the last couple episodes, which is always good. Thanks. And just everybody that's listening, just rate, give us a good rating there. And that it's amazing how that does help, because on certain platforms, you type in Morgan you asked for, it comes right up. And on other ones, you got to type a little bit more in. And I think it really is just on how many people listen and stuff. It's just kind of crazy how that is.
Yeah, thanks everybody for listening, and we appreciate it. I don't know how this technology works. You and I struggle sometimes with some of this stuff, but
Yeah.
we get through it most of the time.
Yep. Nope. Thanks a lot, Trev. And we'll talk next week.
All right, have a good one.